Welcome to today's webinar hosted by IRP Fire and Safety Limited, featuring our keynote speaker, Mr. Mark Shaw of UltraTech International. He
Hello,
is the
everybody.
Sorry?
Saying hello to everybody.
Oh, sorry. All right. So Mr. Shaw is the founder and CEO of UltraTech International. He has 40 years of experience in designing and developing spill containment, spill response, and stormwater management products. UltraTech was formed in 1993. They manufacture the world's finest offering of spill containment and spill response products. They've also expanded into additional product categories, and the company now features a product line that consists of over 400 unique products. IRP Fire and Safety are proud to partner with UltraTech to bring these products and solutions to our customers in the Caribbean. And we hope that this webinar will provide you with useful information that will allow you to match the best product solutions to any issue that you may have that may need to be solved. We ask that everyone please keep your microphones on mute unless you're asking a question. You can ask questions during the presentation, but you can also wait till the end if you prefer. So once again, thank you everyone for logging on. Thank you for joining us, and join me in welcoming our speaker today, Mr. Mark Shaw. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Appreciate you starting the day with us. Let's dive right in. We'll be talking about a variety of products. To start off with, who is UltraTech? For those of you that don't know, we're one of the original founders of the spill containment market back in the early 80s. I was involved in that, and since then we've expanded and grown into a variety of environmental products. We have over 800 distributors in 80 countries, 65 patents, so we're a very innovative company. As mentioned, the 400 products that have been developed, a lot of new product of the year awards, and I think it speaks to the tenure that we have and the amount of development that we've done in growing this environmental market. I don't think there's any company that knows more about it than we do for the kind of products that we sell. Well, who are we? We're into spill containment, spill control and response, stormwater management, facility protection products, and then we also have a part of our company that's advanced technologies, which are disruptive technologies with very interesting solutions. Why consider the products? Why spend your time this morning? Well, you live on an island, and when it rains, it's like flushing the island's collective toilet into the ocean. Everything flushes out into the drains, and the drains have to go somewhere, and they end up in the ocean, which is your food, tourism, and entertainment. So let's use UltraTech products to help keep that environment clean. We're going to talk about a variety of products that we think will have some benefit to you and for what you guys do. And let's get started. So the spill containment products, variety shown there. IRP makes it easy for you to stay in compliance. That's one of the things that they'll do is help you make sure that you're not out of compliance and subject to fines or catastrophic spills, or even small spills that can cost money. Very quickly, the premise here is that if you have two 55-gallon drums, that's 110 gallons total. And the regulations here in the US and around a lot of the world, and I believe down there, is that you need to contain 10% of the total number of gallons, which in this case with two drums would be 11 gallons, or 100% of the single largest container, which would be 55 gallons, whichever is greater. So when you design your containment systems at your facility, use those numbers in mind. 10% of all of the containment in a given area that you're containing, or 100% of the largest single container that's being held. Spill pallets are one way to do that. And we have everything from 1 drum, 2 drum, 4 drum spill pallets, ramps that go with them. As you can see, this replaces the wood pallet, where if you have a leak, not only does the leak get onto the floor and then potentially down a drain, but it also contaminates the wood pallet, where it soaks in, and now you have to dispose of the wood pallet as a hazardous material as well. So these are reusable, easily cleaned. They're compatible with a high variety of chemicals. It keeps the containers out of the sump area. So if you have one leak, the rest of them aren't sitting in that and potentially leaking as well. And each of these is designed to contain one of these containers. We actually hold 66 gallons, so we go 10% above a standard container. This is our Plus model, which has the lowest profile in the industry. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 drum models. These are our spill pallets. These are a little lower in cost. Performance is still adequate, and they're a little higher in profile, but you can see the variety and styles that are here. Some are made from some percentage of recycled material, the black ones, and then the yellow ones, if you prefer that for your to stand out in your facility. A lot of people say, well, do I need a drain or no drain? Really, over the years, it turns out to be about 50-50. 50% of the people say, why put a hole in my container when I'm trying to keep the liquid in? And other people say, I like the drain because then I can lift the container up if it's got liquid in it and put it over top of another empty drum with a funnel and then offload the chemical from there. We also have a nestable spill pallet, very good for shipping to an island like yourself or country like yourself in the Caribbean. So these nest together and allow for greater shipping savings. And then we have steel models. There are some chemicals that would require steel over polyethylene, which is the main material we use, the plastic material we use. And so the steel is an option as well. And then we came out with spill decks. And as you can see, they're about the same height as a wood pallet, which makes it convenient to get drums on and off without a ramp. The ramp's there if you need it. But these are connected together. And when you place them together, you can see that there's these strips, or T-strips that go in between, so that any liquids that would potentially hit in between the units will go into one side or the other. But underneath, there's holes that have been drilled that allow you to borrow the containment from one side to the other. So if it leaks over here, it then gets to a certain point, flows through the containment, the bulkhead fittings, and you pick up the containment here and here. So instead of having a 12 to 15 inch high spill pallet, you can have a 5.5 inch high spill deck and accomplish the same containment area. We've had companies that have put 90 of these in one big room. So when you walk into the room, you're walking on these the whole time, and anything that spills anywhere is contained. You can also start off with just these 3 here, and then if you decide you need to expand, you can add more in different shapes. You can come along the wall. You can make a 90-degree angle on it. You can use different sizes. So there's a lot of variety in what they do. We also then came out with a bladder system. If you wanted to contain that 55-gallon drum in that small an area, how would you do that? Well, we devised the bladder system. Go ahead. Nope, someone needs to mute. So the bladder system is held inside of this box. It's connected with that flow-through bulkhead fitting, and the box is designed so that as the hydrostatic pressure going into the bag will cause the bladder to automatically open. The door flips down, the bag deploys, and all of that contents can be held inside this bladder system. If you leave on a Friday, come back on a Monday morning, and this is deployed, you know you've stopped an incident from happening over the weekend. And what you would do is remove the grate, and then we have a hand pump you can purchase to pump this out, or you could use any kind of a pump to cause this. And as you pump it out, more of the bag will flow back into here where your pump is, and eventually you can lift the bag up and all the remaining contents will go out. The bladders do need to be replaced once they've been used. They're not designed for multiple use because they have to deploy 100% of the time. So we've
question,
yes.
Mark.
Yes.
With regards to the bladder system, can you give a little bit more detail as to where you would connect the pump to retrieve the product from inside the bag?
Right. So if you take the grate off, now the whole sump area is exposed. the bulkhead fitting is located about halfway up the wall so that there will be liquid inside the sump as well as the liquid in here. You would place the sump, if you're using one of your own pumps, you would probably pump it out from the sump area, and then more will flow back in until the bag is pretty much empty. And then you can lift the bag up and the rest will flow in there. The product that we offer as an alternative is a hand pump on a board, a plastic board that you can stand on, and it's got a tube, and that tube will actually allow you to insert it through the bulkhead fitting into this bag, and you can pump directly out of the bladder itself. So those are the two methods that you could use to remove the contents.
Okay, clear. And then one final question: what guarantee is there on the number of deployments before the bag has to be replaced?
Only one. There's no guarantee. The only guarantee is that it works. We've been making this for over 25 years and never had an issue with it deploying. It's designed to deploy every time. There are 2 rubber bands that come on the unit. This red label says cut the rubber bands before you put this into use, and that's to make sure that the bladder it's held in place during shipping so it can't get screwed up. Cut the rubber bands, and now it deploys every time. But after it's done, you unscrew the bulkhead fitting, get a new bladder, and attach it and go again, because one, you don't know what chemical might be in here, and if you use it again, a different chemical might be there. Not good to mix chemicals. And the second thing is that sometimes the liquid causes the sides to stick together, the top and the bottom, and you don't want to have anything that's going to keep it from being 100% effective. So it's a one use, but it's not that expensive. And if you prevented product from going down your drain, another $100 to get a new replacement is not going to bother you too much.
Okay, clear.
So you can make 3 drum, 4 drum, 5 drums, 6 drums, whatever size you need. This one has a bladder to meet the containment regulations, but if you added another unit to this, you would not need to have the bladder because you'd have enough containment because they flow through. And when you buy these, you help explain to your to IRP where you want the holes drilled so that you can get them come in custom drilled, pre-drilled. This is an inline version, which would go along a wall so you don't block an aisleway, as an example. We also have fluorinated models. Many of you may be dealing with chemicals that are stress crackers or just really tough, high percentage acids, things like that. If you've got concerns about chemical compatibility, we have a list that you can check. But some people have to get a fluorinated spill deck. We make them light blue so you know that that's what they are. And those can handle virtually most chemicals. Our hard tops, very popular item for outdoor containment. This is an original model we had. We call it the gull wing cover, and it allows you access to the containers and so forth. You can see there's not a lot of height inside. You can get one of our funnels in there if you want to use it for satellite waste collection. But we have this is a less expensive model on the market for us, and then we have our second generation, which is our hardtop plus. This is a 1 drum model. You can see how you would access it by lowering it in with a forklift, put the top on, and now this door rolls up and you have access. You can lock it if you have a security issue, and that's a 1 drum model. We do have a 2 drum model, which you can see that's got the barn doors, which open up, allow you to access and put the drums in and out. This is a typical satellite waste collection operation. You can see the height here allows you to have funnels and drum pumps. You could be pouring waste into this drum and pumping virgin material into a 5-gallon bucket to use in your facility. The 2 drum model with a ramp, and also can be lockable in this area here. So low profile polyethylene. It's got the dual closure and an optional ramp and forkliftable. The 4 drum, same as the 2 drum, except now you have access from both sides. This looks identical on the other side, so you can actually access all the drums as you need to. You can also do what we call little condos, where you can add them together you would buy a extender wall, which then allows you to use these two outer walls, and then these connect everything together. You could have oil in this, oil drums in here. You could have ammonia drums in here. You could have acid drums in here. Each one has their own separate sumps. So you don't have to worry about cross-contamination, maybe an explosive situation or fire, something that you don't want to cross-contaminate the chemicals. And then a lot of you may have been switching over the years from drums to IBCs. Intermediate bulk containers are pretty popular. You'll get anywhere from 4 to 6 55-gallon drums inside one of these. So instead of moving 4 to 6 drums, you're moving one IBC tote at a time. You can see the internals. We have support structures in here. The grating goes on top. This contains up to 400 gallons and provides that containment for the whole contents of this. This is an optional shelf which can drop in, and if a lot of times these valves will leak, and so therefore this gives you containment for a dripping valve as well, and gives you a place to empty it into a 5-gallon bucket and contain any spillage. So it's forkliftable, not with a product on it, not with a container on it, but just to move it around. You've got the footprint. It's 365-gallon sump. I said 400. I apologize. That's a different version of this. 365. It's got the 4 inner columns. The bucket shelf is available. This is a twin IBC. If you needed 2 of them, this actually costs less than buying 2 of the other ones. So there is an advantage from that standpoint. But they do share a sump, so that you want to make sure the chemicals are compatible. And it has a larger sump, as you saw there. The IBC hardtop, just like we have hardtops for the drums, the same hardtop can work with the IBCs. And so you can have that containment as well, and the doors and the lower containment here. So it's a practical way to store these products outside. 365-gallon sump, forkliftable, lockable, and made out of polyethylene. Same thing as the drums. You can make them into whatever length you want. However, since there's more chemical in here than before, these would have bulkhead fittings connecting them together so that you could borrow the containment from one to the next. And then on the back, you would have these additional containment sumps that hold 75 gallons. These bulkhead in. So now that's 150 additional gallons that give you full containment with the right number of units. And then we have the hardtop version for the twin IBC. You buy the extender wall for the middle, and you can. So as you can see, as we've been talking, everything kind of goes together. So it's a well thought out product line where things can be added, put together for really to meet your growing needs or your current needs. So it's got the same sump as a twin IBC, forkliftable, lockable, and out of the polyethylene. Any questions at this point? Okay, the next thing is containment berms, which would be very practical. A lot of you deal with oil over there and fuel storage, maybe power generation, breweries and fire service, and even aviation. These are all areas that they will have a need for containment berms from time to time. You can see it could be a portable generator. Sometimes we've had power generation type things where they have lights remotely that are towed in, that are tall lights to lighten up a particular area, but they need to have the containment because of the generation of electricity by a generator could spill. Large trucks delivering fuels or product. And then some of them use it just for containment of things like IBC storage. We have a large variety of styles. This is a modular gorilla berm, we call it, and you put that around the perimeter, and then you snap in a rebar to hold that in place. So you can drive right over that. Very durable, hence the name gorilla berm. Foam wall models. The foam actually collapses under the weight of the tires and springs back up. It's another very popular model of ours. The ultimate model uses a less expensive sidewall but has these in and out vertical urethane rods that will fold underneath the weight of the truck in and out, so you don't have to get out of your truck to drop the wall down. Collapsible wall, economy walls. This is using a lot less expensive. That's for something that's going to be set up and doesn't probably need to be driven into all the time, so you don't have to undo it every time, but it's a lot less expensive. And the compact model has its own way of being set up, and it can fold up into a very small area. So a lot of different options, because there's a lot of different needs for different industries for their specific concerns. So the foam wall, as I mentioned, very popular model. These are available in stock sizes, but we also do basically any size that you need. We've done ones that they've driven 747 jets into, so they're fully contained. Rapid rise model is interesting. This top part of the unit is actually foam, so that when it's laying down, you can just drive in, drive out, step into it, no problem. If there is a leak and it's big enough, then the leak will actually cause that sidewall. You can see this is filled with, in this case, just water, but it actually floats the sidewalls up automatically. And then these they fall into place and provide the additional strength you need to keep the water from knocking the walls down. The compact model I mentioned, that becomes that. So it makes it easy to store it, set it up, and use it in a lot of different ways. We have the mini foam wall berm. It comes packaged up like this. You open it up, it has foam in the sides, and you can use it for smaller applications where you need something to go underneath. Like in this case, this would be where you'd be hooking up a hose and there could be drips and leaks, or when you take that cap off, some residual materials will fall into the boom or the foam wall. This is a nice product, containment wall. This is all plastic L-shaped walls that you put a liner into, and then you snap a cap over the top, and it holds that liner in place, so that you can put large tanks in there, virtually anything you really want, storage tanks and so forth. This particular one drives in, drives out, so you remove the wall and drive it in or out. You can start to see the look of the L shape there. And we have this 1 foot, 2 foot, and 3 foot versions. We also have accessories like track belts, so that you can put those down on top of the berm where your truck tires will go over. That helps protect the berm from getting any holes or leaks, and let this last longer. We have ground tarps that can go underneath the berm, like you see right here. That prevents, again, protects that berm, which is your primary containment. You can add a drain to it. We can add a self-bailer, which we're going to talk about in a second. And then the hose stand, if you take that and that's filled with liquid, it could start to push down on the sidewall and reduce your containment. So you can get a hose stand that bridges that sidewall. Any questions on the berms? Next up, some more spill containment. Utility trays. You wouldn't believe how many of these we sell every month. You can go to the local hardware store and buy a very inexpensive injection molded tray, very thin, and it'll last you a couple of weeks to a month. People that get tired of doing that just buy these. They have ribs in the bottom so that if there is any drips or spills, none of your containers are sitting in that. But it will give you some containment for these smaller amounts, different sizes and shapes. People put them on shelves, they put them on floors, they put them in the back of pickup trucks. Just a large variety of ways to be used. These, for those of you that deal with oil and gas, you are probably aware that a lot of times the connections between the pipes will drip and leak. And this allows you to capture that at those junction points. They nest together for storage and shipping, and it's a nice product for that application. Completely reusable, can withstand the weather. Rack sumps. If you're looking at getting your house in order, this is a nice product. You can see all of that would typically be sitting on either wood pallets, could drip and spill, like you see down on the floor here. and you can now have that containment all the way up your racking systems. It's got an on-off valve here, so you can attach a garden hose to it. And if you did have a leak in one of these, you would be able to connect the garden hose and drain it out. And then once it's basically drained out, you could then take the contents off of it, bring that down off of there, and then clean it up with some absorbents, make sure it's dry and ready to go again. I mentioned the self baler. This is a device that's very useful in an island that has a lot of oil wherever you go. You can hook this up into any of our containment units, into our containment berms, but you can also, if you've got a outdoor concrete sump that's always filling up with water, and then there's some oily stuff in there, and then you now have a bunch of oily water that you have to dispose of. This can be added. It's got a view tube here, but basically you leave the valve open, water passes through here and out, goes through a filter media. You can see here, this is the filter media before, and this is after oil's flowed through it. And what happens is the white particles will actually swell up as it absorbs the oil. And once it's swelled up completely, it will seal off. So the only thing passing through here is going to be clean water. The oil gets retained. And then once the oil is fully saturated into the polymer, then it just shuts off. It swells and shuts off. You can see in the tube here, you'll see oily water or back up, turn the handle off, unscrew this, put a new one on, and you're good to go again. And it keeps all that rainwater from being in there. I don't know if you have mosquito issues, but it'll also help prevent buildup of water for mosquito reasons. But it's a great little product that could find its way into solving some problems for you. Different sizes available. Yes.
What's the how much usually does it take to fill it up? Like how much?
I don't have that. I don't have that off the top of my head. Unfortunately, with the position I am in the company, I'm not talking about this stuff every day, so I don't. If I've memorized it in the past, I've forgotten it over the past 40 years. But it is available on our website. It'll indicate how much each one holds, so you can kind of decide how often you want to change it and pick the right size for your need. So
okay,
if I can recommend, you go to spillcontainment.com, and up in the search button, just type in self baler, and then you'll have all sorts of information, a lot of frequently asked questions, other videos, things like that. I'm sorry, I don't have that answer. You've seen this in a few of the photos. It's a bung access funnel instead of a kind of a typical funnel style shape where you pour liquid in and it flips out the other side. It doesn't allow you to put filters on it to drain them and so forth. This is a design we came up with that's very popular and can give you more versatility in a funnel design. A global funnel, sometimes you guys get funky looking plastic drums and they come from different parts of the world, and this is designed to fit virtually every drum we ever could find. You can see how you can put the filters on here. In the United States, if you drain a filter for 24 hours, you can throw it in a dumpster. But it's hard to figure out how to drain those. Well, this is one way to do that. The burp-free funnel has this little tube in it. So as you're pouring liquid in, what typically can happen is the liquid's going down in there. It's building up pressure inside the drum as the liquid increases, and there's no way for the pressure to escape because liquid's pouring in. So at some point, the pressure overcomes the liquid and it burps, and all the liquid goes flying up into your face and on your clothes. With this, as you're pouring liquid in these holes, the air is escaping out that hole. So it's a nice safety feature. On to spill response. These are very handy. If the example would be if you have a fire, you have a fire extinguisher waiting to be used. If you have a spill, you have drain seals waiting to be used. So the first thing you do with a fire is you grab the fire extinguisher and see if you can put it out. First thing you do if you get a spill in your factory is people are trained to grab one of these and throw it over the closest drain. Because if it gets down the drain, that means it's going off your property, and it's either, in most cases, going into a river, lake, or stream, but it can also be going to a waste treatment facility, which is going to screw up the waste treatment facility, kill all their bacteria. You've got a big mess in your hands no matter which way it goes. And this is a great way to solve that problem. We are we have a patent on the ability, we put scrim inside here so that either side works. There are some in the market that are yellow and orange. And we did a survey once of our distributors and asked them, do you put the yellow side down or the orange side down? And, you know, in an emergency, which side are you going to put down? And they said 90+% said the yellow side down, which was the wrong answer. The yellow side was stiffer, wouldn't seal. It's the orange side that's actually the right side to put down. We make it so you can put either side down. We use the same material and we make a spill berm, which allows you to create dams and temporary dams and things for either outdoors or indoors. Again, another spill response product that's very valuable because if it stops the spill, it's saving you a lot of money. Pop-up pools, you're driving around the island, you're trying to avoid discharging if you have a situation where it doesn't even have to breach this tank. There's a hose that goes between the two tanks, if there's two tanks on the vehicle, and that's the hose, like you could hit an animal and it knocks the hose off and it starts leaking. You hit a retread in the road, it pops up and knocks that off. So having this rolled up and put either into this container, which is an option, or in just the back of the truck, or in a pickup truck, or on a job site, construction site, having this available to get the bulk of the leakage is key. This has foam in the top edge, so you just set it up and this actually rises with the water and the liquid. We've got a variety of sizes of these too, everything from 20 gallons up to 400 gallons. Overpacks are needed for, if you have a leaking drum, the regulations here in the US require you to put that leaking drum inside of an approved salvage drum. And a salvage drum has to meet certain transportation tests and performance so that that leaking drum, you then put sorbent around it so that there's no free liquid, put the lid on, and then ship it off for disposal. If you have a spill or a leak and you've used a lot of absorbent pads or socks or loose absorbent to clean that up, you can't just put that in the dumpster. You got to put it into one of these containers, close it up, and ship it off for disposal. So any company that has hazardous waste that could have leaks or spills should have these on site. These can also make nice packaging or sending a product with a screw top lid and the size. This is 20 gallon, that's 30 gallon. Some people use them for other things other than hazardous waste cleanup. We have some with wheels on them, but they make great spill kits. You fill that with all your absorbents so you can take it to a spill. Then when the spill's over, you can put it all right back inside of here in the soil absorbents and screw the lid on and ship it off. This is a recycled model. Stormwater management. Here's some facts. You live in an island. 90% of your storm drains drain to rivers and to the ocean untreated. And that's everything from cigarette butts and microplastics to oil and heavy metals, pesticides, and fertilizers. 1 quart of oil will create a 1 acre slick on water. It doesn't take much to really start screwing things up. Storm drains are really a big source of pollution for not only larger countries, but also living on an island. That ocean's got to be precious to maintain. Three different types of drains. Basically, you have your flush mounted drain, horizontal in a road or street or parking lot. You've got a curb opening, which just only has a drain along the curb of the street. And then you have a combination where you have water coming in here and also can escape underneath there. And so it's a curb and drain combo. We have products that do all three of those. Our most popular stormwater product is a drain guard. This is made out of polypropylene material. You set this down on top of the drain, put the grating on top of it, and then anything that flows in there, all this sediment, if there was oil there, trash, debris, would be captured on a high percentage basis by this filter. After it gets full, you take it out, replace it, and put a new one in. What comes out of a drain guard? This was a study done in Los Angeles some time ago where they put 50 drain guards in, and then they removed them after 2 weeks and dumped the contents into this roll-off dumpster. I think this is a fascinating photo. That's the kind of stuff that came out of 50 drains in 2 weeks. Can you envision if you had 50 drains in your country that every 2 weeks was dumping this much into the waterway, into the ocean, how big a problem that is and how easy it is to clean up by using just a drain guard. We have oil and sediment model, which you use typically on construction sites. We also have a oil and sediment plus model. These are strips of a particular type of oil filtering material that'll grab the oil and let the water drain out. We also have a heavy metal model. If the heavy metals are concerned getting into the waterway, then you can use this model. We have a trash and debris. You might put this around stadiums or wherever, like a parade route or something like that. It'll capture the trash and debris in this mesh bag. We have adjustable frame models, so you can kind of open them up and set them in when you put the grate in. So these drain guards could basically is just a great first line of defense against any stormwater issues you may have. If someone says, I need a true filter, I need a filter that will remove the sediment and then treat whatever is in the water after the sediment's been removed. Well, this HydroClean will do that. The water will come in here, the sediment will drop out, it'll flow up and over, and then we have different bags, 3 different bags, that are filter bags that are in here that can remove oil, it can remove hydrocarbons, oil and hydrocarbons, it can remove phosphorus, it can remove heavy metals, it can remove other types of chemicals with a carbon media put in there. So you have different options of what you can use in combination to create a clean outflow of product. And these you would have to design specifically for whatever size drains you want. CurbGuard Plus, very popular product for the curb style. These come in 3-foot and 4-foot lengths. These foam inserts wedge in to prevent this from falling in during a storm. And then you can see there's a PVC pipe inside of this so that that's what connects these together. So you can make whatever length you need. You can see this is a Florida afternoon rainstorm, perhaps like what you see in Trinidad. A lot of water flowing. You can see the sediment underneath here building up. And then there's overflow on top for clean water because you don't want to ponding up in the street where someone's driving at a high speed and they hit a pond of water that you created. So it prevents that from happening. But this is a nice product to consider. It was rated #1 by the Florida DOT, Department of Transportation, when they did a test to try and find out what the best performing stormwater devices were. And this for the curb opening was #1. Dewatering bags. Used to be in the US, you could just take that pump and pump it right down the street into a drain. And you see all this muddy water going into a drain. And then if you looked at where that drain emptied into a river or the ocean or a lake, you'd see a big plume of brown water. Can't do that anymore. So now when you pump them into dewatering bags, clean water comes out, the sediment stays in here. And then these are a one-use type thing. You can pull it to a different part of the site, slit it open, empty out the contents, throw the bag away, or put the whole thing in a dumpster. Some people put these on top of a wood pallet, so when it's full, they can just take a forklift, lift it up, and dump it. Different sizes are available for different needs. This has become a very popular product, a filter sock. We put the various media that you saw in the HydroClean inside of here. So this could remove heavy metals, sediment it's got ground up recycled tire for sediment, oil removal product, phosphorus removal product, and also a chemical removing product as well. So based on your needs, you can use this around drains. You can actually put more than one. You can have maybe one on the outside that removes oil, and then one on the inside removes heavy metals. So the oil won't get past the first bag and therefore the oil won't contaminate and screw up the heavy metals from doing this job. If any of you deal with concrete or washout from concrete, this is an issue. Again, used to be that you could put it down the drain and it would harden in the bottom of your drain, or it ends up on your site, and it's a very high alkaline base. It's about a 12 pH, and that's a really hazard. That's a big hazard. So with these, it comes folded up. It's got a bag inside of here. You put it in there, and you might get, depending on the size, this one is 140 gallons, 530 liters. You can have different sizes. And at the end of the week, again, put this on a wood pallet. You can pick it up and dispose it off site. You can just take a sledge and break it up and get rid of the concrete that way. Different options for you, but it's a very inexpensive, easy to use product for people in this market. The Ultra Flood Stopper, when you get the heavy rains and you get flooding, the Ultra Flood Stopper can be a lifesaver. If you can envision a street that's got a bunch of shops on it, and when it floods, water goes in the front door, maybe in the back roll-up door, and they're shut down for a week or two while the flood recedes, and then they have a big cleanup effort. You could be the shop that you put these in front of the doorway, and you're going to stop the flood from coming in. What's different about this is, as you can see in this photo here, it's swelling up when it's put into water. It actually has a super polymer inside of it, like a baby diaper, that as it gets liquid or water, fresh water on it, it actually swells to become a sandbag. It weighs about 30 pounds, about the same as a regular sandbag, but it's much more convenient. All you have to have is water to make it become a sandbag. You don't have to have a shovel and find sand and take the time and trouble to go through all that. This was an older version. The new version we call the Flood Stopper. It's black, and it also has a tube version, either a 5-foot long, 8-inch diameter tube, or a 10-foot long tube. Those can go across and be stacked on top of each other to create a seal on the back door of buildings where you have large roll-up doors and things like that. But you use them like a regular sandbag. It's just that they're way more convenient, and you can keep a box of these in your warehouse and use them as you need them. Some oil spill products. We have a rapid boom, which is a relatively new product for us. I'm almost close to wrapping up here. All of that fits in the box. That's 50 feet of boom. For those of you that deal with booms and the foam and all that stuff, you'd be taking up a small room with 50 feet of boom. This uses air inside of here to hold it up, and it can be used in high wave action because it just stays with the wave and floats with the wave. The biggest benefit of this is you can get immediate response. You can immediately deploy it with just a small boat, or sometimes you can walk around a boat or along a dock and contain it until the first responders get there. Because if you can contain it, more or less immediately, you have prevented a very large cleanup operation, and this allows you to do that. These can connect together, so you can make them whatever length you want. But it's easy to take that and get it to wherever the spill is, or in the water, and deploy it. Facility protection products. We have cord protection. It's different than what you've probably seen out there, which can be somewhat big and cumbersome. These are designed for an office or for cabling out in a factory or in a commercial setting. We also have different sizes. These can take hoses, larger tubes, and this can take even larger than that. So we've got the ability to not only provide hose and cord protection, but it also prevents a trip hazard. And these articulate so that you can put them around curves and things like that. And if you push on that button, they disengage. So you can actually pop these in and make as many as you need to fit your space. So you don't need to have a 6-foot thick, large urethane unit when you really only needed 3 feet. You just use the amount that you need. So that's a very popular product for us. And I threw this one in here because if you guys get a lot of rain, and as you get that rain, holes in your roofs or leaks in your roofs tend to show up. And if you don't want to replace a roof that could be $10,000 or $100,000, and you want to live with it for a while, especially in commercial facilities and industry, you put these up. They hang from the ceiling. There's a tube that you use, or a garden hose, and you can run it into a drum and fill a drum up. Maybe it takes a month to fill the drum up, or you can run it out a window, or you can run it down a drain. It gives you options so that you are, or it could be that there's been a hurricane in the whole island. Everybody wants a roofer, and you can't get one right away. So this at least helps you contain it. It's not screwing up your inventory on the floor. It's not going into electronics. It's not causing slip and fall hazards. So it's that emergency response. You can use it if there's a drip or leak in a pipe. Different sizes for different needs. And then finally, this product has a magnet, and you simply put them on these racks. The benefit is it's easy to install, and as a forklift is backing up into it, as it hits it, it'll absorb the shock and disengage, letting the driver know to stop before you bend this up. Obviously, if they're going too fast, nothing's going to work. But for casual bumps and things like that with forklifts or pallet jacks, this is a great product for that. Finally, just to kind of end things up, I'd encourage you to work with IRP to have them come on and do an environmental audit. What that consists of is they walk with your ES manager, your safety manager, whoever is responsible, and you'll walk the site, and they'll point out issues they know they have, and then how can we solve that? You'll also be able to walk the site and point out things they maybe didn't even see before, and let them know that needs containment or a spill response plan or something like that. This is what the assessments will look like. You'll have photos, notes will be taken while they're walking around. They'll go back. They'll say, here's a photo of the area that we talked about, and then here's a solution. Here's another photo. This is a solution. Here's another one. This is a solution. We give you the product, the link to the website, a description, and then we can quote you a price as well. Sometimes what people will find is they got a lot of problems and they don't want to spend the money all at once. So they set up, and every month they buy a little something to handle this situation. Next month they buy something to handle this situation. And they just get a plan together so that at the end of a year, they're in compliance. They've got everything taken care of. And it's made it a lot easier for them and for you, because they can whip this out and show it to a regulator who's coming by to do an inspection. It shows that you care. It shows that you're working on it. And there can be real value in working with IRP on that. So that's the presentation. I think we made it within the hour. Any questions that you might have? If not, then I would say that we've fully utilized the hour, and we appreciate and thank you for your time. And certainly any questions you might have, you can direct to IRP if you think of it over the next few days or over the weekend. If you have this revelation, you call them on Monday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. One question from me, but this is directed to Brent. Brent, in terms of all the lines that would have been discussed, do you guys stock them, or when we order, you would have to bring it in?
There are some that we stock. We do have some of the overpacks, and last I checked, I think we had some spill pallets also. So it all depends on what it is you're interested in. So just let me know, and based on what it is you're interested in, I can do a stock check to make sure that we have it.
But in terms of
Okay, great,
stocking,
thanks.
in terms of stocking in Trinidad, For those who are on up the islands, we do tend to try to ship it directly to you, because when it comes into Trinidad, of course, there are landed costs, there are duties, so it increases the price. If we can ship it directly to you from the manufacturer, or we've established now a warehouse in Miami and we can stock it there and ship it from there, it means that we can offer you at a much lower cost than if it's passing through Trinidad. So from that perspective, some of those items will go directly to you rather than passing through Trinidad first.
Yeah.
And to answer your question, we almost everything you've seen here, we do stock so that we can get it shipped out pretty quickly, and much better for you than some of our distributors in Australia and New Zealand, which can take a while to get there.
Excellent, thank you.
Right. So I just wanted to say that when you were looking at it, I'm hoping that you were seeing products, knowing some of the situations you face on your facility, and if you were wondering what then can we do to deal with that, I'm hoping that the presentation answered some of those questions. If you are still unsure, definitely Brent and I will always be available to lend assistance on the occasions that we are of travel and we're on your site. If you want to show us things, or if you want to take pictures and send it to us and ask us what then can we recommend, we'll be more than happy to assist you in those situations. So feel free to do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
So before we shut down, if there's any just one last chance, if there are any other questions that pop up that you want to ask before we go. If not, feel free to save them up and you can ask us afterwards. We'll be more than happy, whether it's via a call or an email or WhatsApp, we'll be more than happy to facilitate those questions later on.
Hi, good morning. Quick question. Are you going to send us the recording?
Yes.
I would like to share it. Okay, thank you. All right.
All right.
Great.
All right, Brent, if you want to go ahead and
No, I just want
close up.
to thank Mark for his presentation. Greatly appreciated. And I'd also like to thank everyone who took the time to join us today. And we hope that you will join us again for future presentations that we will be doing. So thank you again.
Everybody. Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you, bye.